Hey, everybody, happy Wine Wednesday. Hope you're having a fabulous week. I do want to mention I'm trying out the AirPods again, so I can't even hear myself speak, but I can hear you guys. And if anything sounds off, if I'm talking too loud, or if something just isn't working, please let me know in the comments. Um, but tonight is open chat. I'm sipping on Chardonnay in my plastic but seahorsey wine glass, right? And I've got Holly and Ray with me. Holly is decorated. We'll ask her about that in a moment. And we do have a couple topics for tonight.
I got my special drink too. Wicked Little Leprechaun.
Oh, I got to know about Wicked Little Leprechaun. But I do see Zen Ginger and Bonnie. Good to have you guys. Anybody who joins, it is still open chat. So while we have things we want to discuss, it's always a time for you guys to ask questions. So any questions you have, bring them. We're here for that. Tell me about what do you call it, Holly? The
It's a
drink?
wicked little leprechaun, so it's a St. Patty's drink, and it's pretty basic. It's vodka with a little bit of blue curacao,
Mm,
orange juice, and a little bit of 7 Up. So it's
nice.
mostly just vodka and orange juice, and then the blue curacao adds the green color, and then you top it off with 7 Up.
Well, and I love me some vodka and orange juice. So sounds like a good drink. Love it.
Mhm.
And the outfit. Tell us about the outfit. Why you're wearing it?
Just
What's
some
up?
fun, just some fun St. Patty's stuff that I have in my collection.
Because this is the last Wine Wednesday before
It
St. Patrick's
is.
Day. So
It just
pinch me.
occurred to me last minute, and I'm like, "Hey, I got nothing else really to dress up for, so
Yeah.
let's
Well,
do
and I
that."
was gonna say
Well,
my
she can
my
put on the
shirt's
Easter Bunny suit pretty soon.
no. Well, she probably will. But I was gonna say my shirt's a little green. It's blue green, kinda.
Yeah.
So don't pinch me. Pinch Ray. He's the one. But anyhow, happy Wine Wednesday to you all. Um, Again, open chat. Any questions you have, we can discuss them. I'm going to save my thing because it's kind of a negative thing that's going on in my tank for last. So, Holly, why don't you tell me? You said you wanted to discuss fry food, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring, but well, just because I've been talking on our Facebook
Okay.
page, Shyla a little bit. So her fry looks like they're doing well. Remember, she has the whitey
Whitey
eyes,
eye. Yes.
and
Yes.
they're a couple weeks old now. She just had more fry born.
Oh,
She had morning fry the other day, so it looks like her male is getting it together, and so she's had to add more fry to the tank. But what I found interesting was that she got them pretty much from the beginning, snicking on frozen copepods,
really?
which she gets in Singapore. And I looked up the brand and checked it out. And this company looks like they have some really good foods and things for
Awesome.
reef and so on. The sad part of it is they're available in Singapore and I think the UK, but not here. And they're
Of course.
different. They're different from what I found here because I kind of researched it a little bit, and I found two I found two things here that looked similar but not the same, and I forgot to message you the pictures, but I can send them over
Yeah.
right
Send
now.
them over. Yeah.
So it'll take me a minute because they're way back in my pictures because it was like a week ago.
Okay.
But one of them was a Hikari thing,
Okay.
I can tell you. And it wasn't exactly copepods. It was something called Cyclops, which I guess is a
No. Right.
freshwater thing.
Well, I was
actually.
gonna say, and Ray, we're gonna need you to help us on this one because you're really good at the feeds and you know what's okay. I wish Cheryl was here or Dan was here too, but
I don't
Yeah, I
know
do
I
anything
too.
about the Cyclops.
well I remember Felicia McCulley used Cyclops E's on her fry. That was what she used to
Yeah.
feed her fry. And you think now that's not or good or not good or what
No
are your
idea.
thoughts?
I don't even have
You
access
didn't
to
use
it
it.
here in
Okay.
Canada.
All
Okay.
right, so here we go. I'm going to send over a couple pictures.
And while she's doing that, Ray, I'm just curious if someone in a different country, like we can have a conversation about what you can do about feeding fry in America because that's different. Or even in Canada. That's, you know, that's one thing. But in Singapore, she only has access to certain things. So when you're looking at a feed for fry, whether it be live or, well, I shouldn't say it if you're looking at a frozen feed that you're trying to get fry to eat, which I never had luck at, just to let you guys know. I always had to use live feeds. They would never take frozen feeds from me until they were at least 4 weeks old. But if you found one small enough and it was working, what kind of ingredients would you look for to make sure that it was giving them what they needed as far as DHA and all that?
Well, basically, if it's any saltwater item, it's probably going to be okay. And
Okay.
they'll have
Okay, so I just sent
automatically,
you.
pardon?
Go
I
ahead,
said
Ray.
I just sent the pictures is all I'm saying to my
Okay.
one.
Automatically they'll have sufficient protein, and usually there'll be DHA component along with it if it's something that lives in salt water.
So you just look and make sure that it's a saltwater critter, basically. And if it's not, so this is a question that's come up multiple times. If it's not a saltwater critter, because we use freshwater mysis, but we enrich them, right? We
Right.
use artemia, but we enrich them. But if it's a frozen feed, is it just kind of out if it's freshwater?
Well, if you have freeze dried, then you can soak them and put some focus in as well, so that when the freeze dried takes in the liquid, it'll take in some of the enrichment, and then by using the focus, that'll bind some of it also to the exterior of it.
Okay.
Uh, so that's a worst case scenario if I had to do that. But if I could find copepods somewhere, then I would get the copepods.
Right. And the Cyclopses, I just remember Felicia talking about it. So I feel like
Mhm.
it probably is a saltwater. I'll share your picture so you can tell us more. Here we go, Holly. I'm going to share right
Yeah.
now. Let's make sure. Can you see what I'm sharing?
Yep.
Yeah, so that is when I kind of Googled it, the frozen copepods, what was available in the US. This came up, which I don't know much about cyclopods, honestly, but I was told somebody mentioned that they thought that cyclopods are actually a freshwater or
Oh,
brackish water organism. Somebody
okay.
mentioned that. And I don't know anything about them. So you guys with more knowledge will have to, step up and say something about that. So that comes from Hikari. And then the other one, the other picture I sent you is a pack from Tropical Marine, and it's copepod and garlic
Ooh.
frozen
Okay.
frozen pack.
Mm-hmm.
And so what Shyla was using him for was not really actually a main feed for the babies, but she was like me. She got caught off guard when they were born, and she
Sure.
didn't have baby brine shrimp ready to go. So she was able to get frozen copepods actually in Singapore. And I looked up what she got, and she posted it. It's on our page, on the
Okay.
Facebook for Seahorse Whisper. She posted a picture of it. And then I kind of Googled it and looked it up and found that the company isn't sold here,
Right. Okay.
but they have a lot of nutritious foods. It looks like for reef marine type
Yeah.
situation, all
Awesome.
kinds of stuff. Looks like a really good company. So I wish that we had that choice here because I think she has a better choice than we do in that regard.
With the frozen feeds, maybe not the live, or does she have a good uh
Yeah, the
selection of live?
frozen
Okay.
copepod thing. Because I mean, like I said, I couldn't even find a similar thing,
Well, like
really,
I said,
here
I
to what she
remember when I first had Fry, not me, my seahorses, but you know
Mhm,
what I mean. When my seahorses had Fry and I wasn't prepared, like Shyla wasn't, Felicia McCauley, who you guys know works for
mhm,
Biomarine, I mean, she is the seahorse queen, and she recommended Cyclops Ease. You can't buy it anymore. It's just gone.
mhm,
It's not made anymore. So I'm agreeing with you, Holly. You can't get it here. But
mhm,
I think that Shiloh was really smart for choosing that since she can get it,
mhm.
and it seems to be working, right?
Yeah, they look good. And yeah, like I said, she's supplementing their live feed because at first, like I said, she had nothing. And
Right,
so she offered them the frozen copa pods, like, well, I hope you'll eat something because I don't have your food ready yet.
right.
But she noticed she mixes it in with their live to try to trick
Okay.
them into eating the frozen so that they'll convert to frozen. Kind of what I did because I used to do that with that you can get frozen BBS.
Yep.
And when I was feeding my babies, I used to use that to kind of accustom them to frozen. But of course, there's no nutrition really for them in that. But the copepods, that seems
Right.
to me they actually have some nutrition value as well. And they got her through. They bought her enough time to get the BBS going, and now she uses it, I think, along with the BBS.
I think
You
that's
know,
so
keep
smart.
them getting used to frozen, so she'll be hopefully having an easier time converting them to the frozen mysis when time
Yes.
comes. So,
I think that's so smart. That's one of the tricks, literally, that we use is to if you have stubborn seahorses, seahorse fry is what I'm talking about. If you buy
yeah.
captive bred seahorses, they should eat frozen right away. But if you
Mhm,
have fry, they're not going to at first,
mhm.
except if you find a good alternative like Shyla did. But if they don't, then when you want them to convert to frozen around 4 weeks, that's one of the tricks is mixing in, you know, some frozen with alive. And then it just seems like they don't realize they're eating frozen and then they're like, oh, it's food. Okay, cool. Right.
Yeah.
So really good job, Shyla. That's amazing. I'm gonna have to go in
Mhm.
our group and put some hearts up because I haven't been in there and I need to because she's doing an amazing job with Whitey
Yeah,
Eye too. That's
so
so
she's
great.
posted a few videos of them. They're growing, they're
Yeah,
looking good, and her male is having more viable fry than he used to, she says. And he's about the age of mine. He's 3 years old now, I
so
think.
I feel like I
So
remember at first he was having fry that weren't, like
they
you said,
weren't
viable.
fully developed, yeah.
Right. And then now a couple
She
years
was having
later,
trouble, yeah, losing them, and now they're starting to look healthier. They're hitching from birth pretty much. She was able to, catch them and put them in another tank, and they're hitching right away. They just look better, look healthier. And she was concerned because he gave birth to Warning Fry 14 days after the first batch that she's already, taking
right,
care of.
right.
And so she thought they might be premature, but she said they look healthy. They're not, deformed or anything. So
Well, hang on. Let's show. I just pulled up the videos of that post, so let's go ahead and share them real quick because I know Shiloh would
awesome.
be okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. You guys see?
Yeah.
All right, let's play. Oh yeah, those look like. Oh my God, they look so cute. Oh, I love it.
I know. I love
Love
seeing the
it.
babies.
I know I miss the babies so much. I want babies so much. Oh, just seahorse babies, not real babies, but yeah.
Right? They're
And they do always look stick
tiny.
like. You know what I'm really curious about? I'm curious with Shyla's um experimentation that she's doing. I'm
Mhm.
curious if the fries start to develop body shape sooner because they're eating a mixture of frozen. Because I've always wondered, because I've
Oh,
always
uh-huh.
noticed that with a rectus fry, you're feeding
Mhm.
them the live feeds, which are enriched, they're getting what they need,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
they keep that body shape, that stick figure shape, until
Yes.
they get
You
switched on to
convert them.
frozen. And then all of a
Mhm.
sudden they bulk up and they're huge and they start getting the
Mhm.
roundness and everything. I just wonder if that has anything to do with anything. Oh, they're so cute.
Yeah. So she's got, I think, a
Whitey
few
eye too.
videos of them on there, and they do remind me of a rectus.
They do, but a little smaller.
Hey, they don't look white to me.
They don't look what?
They don't look white to me.
Uh,
No.
let's see. Oh, these must be bigger. Have I gone past
Yeah,
it?
these are the ones that are, about 2 weeks old now.
Holy moly, they look so
See, they look
good.
good, don't they?
Oh my gosh, Shyla, you're doing an amazing job.
For 2 weeks, I'm like,
Oh
"Yeah," and
yeah, that is amazing. That is great. And I can I mean I see like when you see this, but see here's the thing.
yeah, the stick shape, yeah. See, mine were that around 2 weeks too.
I know, and what I was going to say is when you see the stick shape, that does worry me. But here's the
Mhm,
thing. First of all, I've never raised whitey eye. Okay, I've
mhm.
never raised them. Number two, look at all of them that don't have it, that already are getting the
There's some
roundness.
good-looking one they all
Yes,
look for 2 weeks, and she hasn't
yes,
lost very many either.
that's
So
amazing.
at 2 weeks. So I'm
And the
thinking,
fact that
they're
and
doing
you're
they're
telling and you're telling me that's frozen feeds that they're eating at 2 weeks.
yes. They were
Wow,
eating frozen from day 1 or 2, she said, because that was all she had.
that is
She
amazing.
rushed to get them fed because she didn't have time to do the BBS when they were born. They were a surprise, kind of like what happened to me. So she tried the frozen copepods and she said they're snicking at them.
So I wonder if it's because the copepods are smaller. Because I'm
I
just
think
thinking, yeah.
maybe. I think
Hmm.
it's got to be because I never had, like I said, I never had that option. I
Right.
did have live copepods when mine were born,
Oh,
and that's how I got mine through also because mine were a surprise when they were born, and it took me, a day or so to get the BBS up and going for them.
right.
But I had live copepods on hand and gave them that, and they ate that until I got the BBS going. So she was in the same situation, only she didn't have live copepods. She only had the frozen.
Right. And I can
But
see too, like, look at this video right here where her sponge filter, she's got it tilted to a side. It seems to be
mhm,
creating flow. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Like
Yeah,
it's
to keep stuff
making
going.
stuff. Yeah. Or oh wait, is this video when she already has live? Is that live?
Y-
Feeds
You mean
having
the
babies.
food?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure because that's what she's feeding them, mainly the live BBS, and she enriches it and does the thing with the peroxide and all that. So the copepods, I think they're not a main food for them now. They're kind of
Sure.
supplementing, but at first that's all she had, and it
Right.
got her through the first couple days, I think.
I mean, these seahorses look great. I mean,
Don't
really
they? I
great.
thought so, and I've never seen baby whitey eyes,
I
so
know.
it's exciting to watch. But they remind me of the erectus
They
fry.
do, but I want this guy right here that's got the blonde half
Yeah,
and the dark half. He's so cute.
yeah.
Ah, anyways, okay. So basically, the point you're trying to make is that
Just
possibly,
bringing up food that possibly, if we could get frozen copepods like that here,
right?
it could be a game changer in fry raising
It
as
really could.
far as their health and survival, I
But
think.
what's
Well, if you don't get the frozen, just buy the freeze dried.
right? I know, Ray. You're
Do we
very big
have
on the food right.
that?
Go ahead.
I got it from the
Yeah,
States.
you can. It's just another extra process you have to do, like
I have to
We have to
rehydrate them.
rehydrating.
rehydrate them, but still, that's another option. So maybe look up who does
Absolutely,
that here. Yeah, where can we get that? What companies produce that?
absolutely, and you can't.
I don't remember now where I got it from. I think I might have got it from Brine Shrimp Direct.
They're a
I
great
can't swear to
company.
it.
So yeah, that I would
Yeah,
imagine that would probably be a good place to check.
but again, if you're like me and lazy, right, it's an extra process. Very good alternative. But the other thing is,
Well, we don't have to worry anyway because you don't have any
shut up,
fry.
Ray. Shut up,
Thank you,
Ray.
Ray.
Ugh. I will have fry at some point, you guys. I don't care. Anyways, let's move forward. I was going to say, though, I would like to do some more experimenting, and I'm glad that Shyla is doing so when we do have fry, if I
Mhm,
ever get fry again,
mhm.
because, like, my my fry and seahorses, nobody would ever touch copepods. So it's so interesting to me that like Shyla's Whitey Eye took frozen copepods. That's amazing. And
Mhm.
your seahorses and Cheryl's seahorses liked amphipods. Maybe it really is a tough love thing. Like, Shyla had nothing else. They were probably like, they may have shunned her at first, but then they were like, this has got to be food. Let's eat it. Maybe it really is that some of us, like me, are too
Well,
soft and not willing to say,
none
this
of
is your
my
food, eat it.
adults though were ever into those. Just
Right.
to be clear, none of my adults were ever into those kind of
Copepods.
foods. But
Right.
my fry ate copepods
Huh.
because I had them, and kind of like Shyla, I was unprepared. But I lost the very first batch of fry that was born. I lost them because it was winter and I didn't have brine shrimp going.
Mm-hmm.
And they wouldn't hatch fast enough. It was too cold in my
Right.
house. I mean, I'm like in winter, even with the wood stove going and everything, we're lucky if we can make it to 70 degrees. And
Oof.
the brine shrimp don't want to hatch until it's
Right.
like 80 some.
Right.
And so I had to buy chicken brood lamps and, to heat the area where they were hatching. I had to get prepared. But in the meantime, I learned online about copepods and how easy they were. So I just bought a bottle of copepods and started them in buckets, and they breed on their own. They didn't need any complicated care or food or
Sure.
anything. And so I just had them on hand. When the next batch of fry was born, I still didn't have brine shrimp going, but at least I had something to give them to eat for their first couple of days. So
So in
that
other words, so in other words, if you're trying to breed seahorses, I know we had someone a few weeks ago. He never did contact me, by the way. If you watch this, I'm still here. I'd be happy to put you in contact with Dan and Cheryl and everyone else. But if someone's trying to like go to the commercial level or really trying to breed seahorses at home, and you don't have a brine shrimp hatchery just waiting for them to be born,
mhm,
copepods may very well be a good way to make sure you're not in a place
emergency
where you don't
food.
have food, right? I know
Mhm,
Cheryl is working a lot with amphipods and such for the
mhm,
larger seahorses, but for fry, I agree with you, Holly. Copepods might work. I never tried it, so I can't say anything.
mhm,
Obviously, it's working for Shiloh, which is amazing. Um,
mhm.
it's just whether or not you can get a good strain of copepods and
Yeah.
get them going and have them sitting there waiting for you. But it's definitely not a bad idea. I mean,
Mhm,
I like the idea. Think it's
mhm.
good. I do see that Bonnie said you can order the
You can order
copepods,
them.
but they're a lot in shipping. And
Yeah.
I want to do some more research around here because I just can't believe we can't get Cyclops E's anymore. I am truly amazed that Shiloh's Fry are taking frozen or were,
Mhm,
took frozen and
mhm.
are still taking a mixture. Um, that's incredible to me. Again, go back to the fact that I'm soft and I always give in to my seahorses and go to
Mhm.
crazy levels to make sure they get what they need. But tough love, if they would take frozen copepods, that would be incredible. And she is already supplementing, like you said, with the live now. Um, I just think it's great.
Oh,
But
what's Ray got?
what?
What is Ray got?
That's the freeze dried.
What
That's
do you
his
got,
freeze
Ray?
dry.
This is freeze dried from brine shrimp
Tell
direct.
us about it. What is it? How do you do it?
How do I do it?
Yeah.
I just take out what I need and let it sit overnight in salt water, and they hydrate, and then I can use
Do
them.
you have to enrich it all? Like, do you put anything else in it?
I never ever
Okay.
did.
So just
Gee.
literally, how much did you need for, like, say, how many fry?
Yeah,
Okay.
what was your measurement? Like a pinch or
Yeah, it's more like a pinch, unless like I when I got this, I didn't have the big batches like the reed-eye fry that would come in 600 and 800 at a time. I didn't have them at the time. This was for the Erectus, and probably only had about 200 at a time with them. But and it was near the end of my raising, and I just got it to try them, but it's only good for the first few weeks because after that they're into the larger
uh-huh.
frozen uh, food that I shave off the Hikari mysis. Uh, so the bag, I got scads here. Um, its net weight was 8 ounces, but you don't need all that
Oh,
much.
yeah.
I don't, but I don't remember now whether they had smaller portions than that. But it was something that I bought just to experiment with,
Mhm.
and I still have it now because I got out of the raising bit, and now I'm out of the keeping bit. So I keep hoping that I'm going to find someone that around here that's got fry that can make use of them. But I can't find anybody keeping seahorses around me
I know.
anymore.
Did you find that your fry were eating them really young? Like at what age do you think they started eating the freeze-dried copepods?
Well, I didn't try it until they were about a week old.
But at a week, you think they were starting to snick at it?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Awesome. See, I think That's
Yeah,
something that
that's the
could help
kind of
out a lot of people raising fry.
absolutely
Yeah,
because
but they don't all start eating it all at once. You get the odd little one that starts into it,
Mhm.
and then it doesn't take long for the others to start picking at it once they see the early
Somebody's eating
birds
it.
get.
well,
Mhm.
and when I had fry and I wasn't prepared and I didn't have things ready, there were no alternatives. There was like nothing. So this is
Mhm.
great that we're talking about these things that you can do. Um,
Mm.
and Ray, you said that you got them.
They've had these at Brine Shrimp Direct for
I
decades.
believe you. I just didn't know about it at the
But
time,
yeah,
right?
not
I mean,
everybody knows about that, and people thinking that they can only feed live. I mean, this could be a game changer for them.
true, but the only thing I would
It won't
ask
substitute, I don't think, but it could save your fry
first
if you
days
know.
or first week. Yes.
Mhm.
And the only thing I would ask is when you use frozen or rehydrated, the problem that I had is that the fry would only go after moving items. So
Mhm.
did you make sure that they continued moving, Ray, or how did that work?
Well, see, I have a lot of water movement anyway.
Okay.
When I'm raising the fry, when they're first born, I have enough movement in there that the fry can't control where they're going. They're they go because of the flow.
Wow.
Mhm.
They're kept in motion all the time, and that keeps them from getting near the surface. Because back at that time, we that's a long time ago now, and we
Mhm.
used to think that being at the surface was a bad
Yep.
Right,
thing.
right, right.
And so I had lots of flow all the time. Uh, the other thing I should mention though, when you rehydrate freeze dried, um, not every piece rehydrates, and I think it's because there's some exoskeletons get in with the regular
Okay.
pieces,
Mhm.
and the exoskeletons they don't hydrate, so they end up floating.
Gotcha.
So
Mhm.
you scoop them off. There's not very many, but I don't want I scoop them off because I don't want them in the fry tank. It's
Mhm.
bad enough. You still have to clean out what they don't eat,
Mhm.
especially when you first start to using it. They're not going to eat it all, so you got to be able to clean it
Sure.
all out, siphon it out until they do get eaten. And then just depending on how big they are and how many you have and how many you're taking to it, you have to sort of play it by ear how much to actually put in.
Sure.
Just because you rehydrate it, you don't have to put it all in. You can put a bit in and keep it, and then the rest you can stick in the
I
fridge.
mean, that's an awesome alternative and option. I mean, when I have
Mhm.
fry, Ray, because I'm going to have fry, dang it.
Mhm.
When I have fry, I'm going to try these
Yeah,
methods.
they're called grandkids,
Huh?
Kelly. They're called
Ah,
grandkids.
shush. Anyways,
I
Sawyer
have a
feed.
quick question for
Okay, go ahead.
Ray
Okay,
before I forget it.
go ahead.
So you said after you rehydrate, you can save it for a bit in the refrigerator. How long is it
Yep.
safe to keep it, you think?
Oh, I don't know. I never tried to see for anything longevity or anything. I I'm pretty sure I kept it for a couple days.
Okay.
So maybe like we do food. Like,
Kind of for
something's
a
good
few
for three
days,
to
2 or
five
3
days or
days.
something. Right.
Mhm.
Oh, I never regular food like Akari mysis nut. I never ever kept it over.
No, I
I
mean,
wouldn't even
like,
keep it.
we mean human food, like,
Right.
if
Like
you
you
had
say, you make
leftovers or
you
whatever.
make soup
Oh,
and then
okay.
it's good in the fridge for 3 to 5 days kind of
Like,
thing.
I give mine
Well, you have to remember
if it's real cold.
this food is finer grade, like human food is larger mass, and so the surface might get some bacteria started on it. But with this stuff
Mhm.
here, your surface is all exposed all over. It's like how do I say? It's like for using a sand bed. If you use coarse gravel or if you use fine
Mhm.
powder, there's a big difference.
Sure.
The fine powder is going to work a lot faster and work better. And in this case here, because it's so small and individual pieces, uh, it's going to take on the bacteria much faster than human food. Like if you put a piece of steak in there, okay, so on the surface they can pick up, but getting into the meat itself, it's not going to happen. Here, because it's so
Right.
small, the particles in that, I wouldn't treat it the same
So
as human
not as
food myself.
long.
So let's say
A day or
disclaimer. Yeah, day or two. Disclaimer. Disclaimer. Day or two. Right. I like it. Um, and Sawyer, just did you have more questions, Holly? I didn't mean to.
No, I just wanted to
Okay.
catch that really quick, just so people can catch that.
I'm
Like, if
glad
they
you
eat
did.
too much, how long is it safe to keep it for the next feeding or whatever? So,
Right. Right. And I hate storing any kind of anything like that in the fridge. I hate it. I always feel like a day or two is what I'm
I
saying.
still have old brine shrimp eggs from when I was raising fry in my refrigerator that I should probably get rid
I'm gonna
of.
say
It's
we're not
been
gonna
a
use
couple years.
those.
I'm like, Ray, I don't have any more fry coming, and I don't know anybody around here that needs them.
Needs
I
them,
actually have
right?
somebody who does freshwater fish. You know, my friend Diana that you met at our little Mary Kay thing, she
Yeah,
does
yeah.
freshwater fish, and um she hatches brine shrimp, but I couldn't pawn them off on
She's
she,
smart enough to
she
know
was
they're
too
expired.
busy to take them. Otherwise, I
Uh-huh.
think she
She's
would.
smart enough to know they're too old. But either way, I'm going.
Hey, there isn't any such thing as too
Yeah, I
old.
think
Yeah, there is
they're in their
with
fridge. I
foods.
think they're still
Yeah.
good. They just might take longer to
Mine's in the
hatch.
freezer. I keep them in the
Yeah,
freezer.
and that does depend if you're keeping them in the freezer. I think we on the channel we want to be safe. So just be safe is all I'm saying. And Sawyer B, actually, I wanted to say Sawyer, I just approved you in the group, so start posting. And he has 26 babies, first batch. Right now, he's feeding adult copepods. Literature he's read has suggested that copepods are better than Artemia for early larval stages.
Yep,
We
that's what
love
she
that you're,
says.
yep, we love that you're experimenting. Cheryl was experimenting with copepods
Mhm.
and with, what's the bigger one? What's it called?
Panamensis was the one, or
No, no,
something. Mantis.
so
Amphipods are the big
yes,
ones.
Mhm.
thank you, Ray. So Cheryl really liked for fry, especially smaller fry,
Mhm.
uh,
Apan.
apamensis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say it right.
I know.
Sorry.
Apamensis and
Or Apanamensis.
yes, thank you,
Those
Ray.
guys, those that you can get if you talk to Chris. Um, not Chris, Chad. I'm sorry. Chad from Reef
Mhm.
Nutrition. He
Mhm.
has the apamensis. I'm trying to think of the last part of the word. Apamensis. I can't.
Panamensis or
Something
something.
like that. Yeah, it's Pana
I
something.
have a hard time too.
All these
But yeah,
words,
Cheryl
guys.
loves those. Cheryl loves those, and I couldn't get that kind where I was. I was using Tigger pods, which I found out later was bad because they can
Yes.
latch onto them. But
Yes. Tigger pods. Don't
honestly,
use them.
I didn't have an issue. Mine survived the Tigger pods and continued
Right. But
growing, but
But
they're
if
not
you're
good.
trying to Apex panamensis, God, I can't get it. Anyways,
I have it
go to
written
Reef
down.
Nutrition and they can help you out for sure. Or if you can find them locally, that's a better bet. But yeah, I think it's great, Sawyer, that you're using copepods because that's something I never did. So we need you to.
Apocyclops panamensis. I have it
That's
written
it.
down.
Apocyclops panamensis. Thank
What a
you.
mouthful.
Oh, it was driving me nuts. And I
That's
just
a
lost an
mouthful.
AirPod.
But yeah, I couldn't get. I'd
Anyways,
have to order them. They don't sell them locally where I am. The my local fish store had the Tigger pods, and that was the only pods they had. So
Yeah.
that's what I started with, not knowing the difference, and they lived through it. Sadie survived. Maybe that's why she's such a warrior now.
That's right. She's a warrior. And again, we always talk about guys' risk tolerance level, whatever you're trying to do, it depends on what you're willing to risk. And I just think it's really, really great that you're trying this and it's working for you, Sawyer. I'd love to talk to you on the side. Message me, please. And I'd love to get you in here on All Wine Wednesday and you can share what's going on with your fry and show us your fry. I'll be very jealous, but
Yeah, I
it's
want to
okay.
see.
I
I
can
love
handle
to
it.
see the babies.
We
I always
love to
love
see
to
the
see the
babies.
babies.
And what's working for you. I mean, like when I met Vince, who's in here now, I think, but he comes all the time, and we do things so completely differently. And he's successful, and I was successful. I'm not now, but I was. And so there's just different ways to do things. None of it's really wrong. We just try to set people in the right direction, right? Um, spell that out to me in chat. Which spell what
I'm
out?
spelling it. I have it written down, so I'll spell it in it because I can't put it in the chat you
It's
use, but I'll put it in our list.
Apocyclops panamensis.
Here it is.
Apocy.
I just spelled it.
All right, hang on.
So I just sent it in our private chat.
Cyclops
You can share.
panamensis. Oh, I had it right. Okay. Ah, shoot. Now it's making me log in here. Okay, the bridges. Let's find the bridges. Sorry, guys. They're making me log in just to do something on my own chat. What do you know? Bicycles. Holly, talk about something. I'm trying to do this.
I was trying to look stuff up, but
Oh,
yeah.
boy.
So I can spell it's APOCYCLOPS
There we go. Now I think I'm back in. It just logged me out for a minute. Sorry, guys. Anyways, but yeah, no, sorry. I'd love to talk to you on the side and find out what you're doing. Have you come in here, talk about what you're doing, because again, I
And here
just
they
never.
are, backwards.
Wait, make it. Hold it up higher, Holly.
It's
No, the
backwards, of
picture.
course.
I know. Show us the picture though.
So, oh, what they look like? There they
Yeah,
are.
they're cuties.
Courtesy of
Chad
Google.
from Reef Nutrition is very big on these guys, so that's who you need to contact if you can't. But if what you're doing is working, amazing, right? Like we've got people in Singapore doing frozen cyclops. You know, I mean, like it's
Hmm.
awesome the way things are advancing. So just because what worked for us worked doesn't mean what's working for you can't, right? We can help you in the case where we can tell you what will work, but if you're trying something and it's working, good, awesome, right? Ray, you agree?
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay, all
what
right.
works.
Never argue with a lady.
I mean, because like I just know that people like you, Ray, and Dan and Cheryl did so much of the same
Oh,
thing.
look
You
at
guys, hang
that.
on, hang on. You guys did so much of the same thing where, people said, oh, skimmers might be bad for seahorses because of the bubbles or whatever. And Dan proved them wrong. People said, oh, this feeding method might not be, blah, blah, blah. And you, Ray, proved them wrong. Everything you guys did in your experimentation and what you did for seahorses is huge, right? That's why we honored you. I guess you didn't get your award yet, but I can't wait for you to show it when you get it. But
It should
I
be
think
there by
that
now, close to.
No,
I
it
went through the,
takes a long time. If I order something for overnight
Uh-huh.
delivery, it takes 10 to 12 days to
I was
Oh,
get
going
here.
to say,
wow. Is
Maybe
it because of your
sometimes.
customs? Like, where does it get held up?
Um, but it usually takes a couple days just to get it to customs. Then it'll sit 3 or 4 days at
Okay.
customs, and then the rest of
We
the time
have
getting
that
here.
here too, because I get stuff from China and stuff sometimes, and yeah, it'll sit there. Sometimes it'll like disappear for a week and then all of a sudden reappear after customs.
Right, right. And I was gonna say
But I might have trouble next
I
week.
did just use the post office. Sorry, Ray, I'm a cheapo. But yeah, so
I might not be here next Wednesday because there's 18 hockey games left between now and the 17th of
oh boy.
April.
Good
So,
grief. I
pardon?
said, good grief.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
and that's just the regular season. Then the playoffs start.
Oh
Wow.
boy.
I didn't
Well,
realize
we'll,
it
we'll,
was that intense.
well, we'll still get you when we can. And I was just trying to make the point though that everything you guys did was kind of questioning the status quo. You know, they say seahorses need low flow. You guys proved them wrong. They say
Mhm.
seahorses, you know, whatever. All the things they said were wrong. You proved them wrong. Now we can keep captive bred seahorses in tanks very well. But things that people like Sawyer are doing now and Zen Ginger will do, those will help us in the future, right?
The
So
new pioneers.
I
Ray
don't
was
think
a
there's anything
pioneer.
wrong. Right, that's right. And Sawyer said also should mention that he's raising combs.
Tiger
I
Isn't
think
that
Cheryl's going to
awesome?
come back for this. I mean, because she
I hope
loves the
so. We
tiger
miss
tails.
her.
Yes, we
I
do.
hope so. We miss her.
She's just been busy, guys. She's not like, shunning us or anything. She just has been busy, had stuff going on at home. But we're going to try to get her back. And Sawyer, I would say she's absolutely in the group. So when you post, tag her for sure because
Yeah, she's an expert in those. That was
she
one
is
of
an
her
expert in tiger
favorites.
tails. Absolutely. And I'm
And
jealous.
speaking of raising Kelly, I don't know if you've read, but Bonnie had brought this up on
Okay.
our page because she was looking for Erectus, and apparently Alyssa is not offering Erectus anymore at this time.
Yeah.
He's
So
taking
I
a
saw.
break on the bigger seahorses, I guess, and just
I'm
doing
trying
more.
to
It
find.
just shows that even the breeders can have problems.
Mm-hmm.
So, hang on. I was trying to find the comment, but you just read it anyways. I did see that too. To be completely honest with you guys, I have no idea. I haven't talked to Alyssa at all.
And I
I
haven't
don't
read her
know.
emails. She sends me a weekly email of stuff that's offered, but I mean, I'm not buying anything now, so I don't really read them. So I haven't looked into it at all. But
What I would say is that's when I love to see people like Sawyer, and people that want to try to breed on a larger scale. Because like I love to breed. I want to breed seahorses, but I'll always be smaller scale. Like I can't make that my job, right? I've got to
yeah,
actually work too. I
yeah,
love
I can't
people that
afford it.
right, but people that are passionate and want to do it, I am right here to help you because I would completely understand why Alyssa would be transferring over to just selling coral and dwarves because they're
Mm,
easier. It's easier. It's
yes,
so much
there's
less
so much work
expensive.
and money.
I think if you set up properly to breed seahorses, truly set up
Mhm,
properly on a commercial basis, like
mm,
Dan did, he supplied multiple species
mhm.
all the time, did well. He couldn't do it after he lost his wife, right? That's what happened to
Yeah.
Seahorse Source. He lost his partner and then he couldn't handle all that work. But if you have an establishment where you either have a partner or something like that where you can make it a
Mhm.
business for
Yeah.
real, it could be really good. And we need it.
Yes.
We need it because
Yes.
as Bonnie pointed out, the only thing we have left is Ocean Rider. And there's nothing wrong with Ocean Rider, but just it's
Mhm.
nicer when you have multiple options, right?
When you
It
have
brings the cost
choices, yeah.
down, it whatever. And so I hope, Sawyer, that you do become really successful because we need combs in the US and we
Yeah,
need someone to
something
start doing
different.
erectus. But on the side of Alyssa, I do really understand. I mean, think about it. If you're running a
Mhm,
business and you're breeding seahorses and you're also propagating coral and you're
mhm.
also doing dwarves and you see that this is a bigger money maker,
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. It sucks. It really does suck, but I get it. She stopped. I don't think I've seen her have anything besides Erectus for a really long time. It's
Yeah, cause she
always
used to
been.
have red eye too for a while. When I bought mine
She had radii for a
5
moment, right?
close to 5, 4 to 5 years ago, there were red eye and erectus
Yep,
and dwarfs were what she was offering.
right.
And but I know she's an aquaculturist background, and
Yeah,
that's how she does all the other stuff. And seahorses, I think, awesome as they are, they're very labor intensive. And
sure.
I think if she's making more money and doing better on the other things and maybe needs a break, because I know how it is to need a break from raising
Right, but
erect.
all I'm trying to
Right.
say is, all
So
I'm trying.
I
I
think
agree with you. I agree
she'll
with you
probably start
100%.
again. I bet she just needs a break.
I agree with you 100%. All I'm trying to say is we need the people out there that do
Yes.
have the passion for seahorses,
Mhm.
that want to provide captive bred seahorses to aquariums so we don't go back to, I mean, the demand isn't huge. I'm not going to say like you're going to be a billionaire, but the demand is there, right? So if there's no captive breeders, the seahorses will keep coming in. Then we run into, oh shit, now we're taking from the ocean again. Now it's a problem again. Now it's bad. We need good people that are passionate about seahorses to become breeders, commercial level, and really,
Well,
supply
and
the
what's
captive
going to
bred
happen
community.
someday when they tell us we're not allowed to take them from the ocean? Because
Then it's
that's
over,
becoming a reality
right?
in a lot of places right now.
Well, see, and
So,
Alyssa would be really smart to realize that and keep her breeding program going
mhm,
because they will be a commodity pretty soon. You won't be able to get them. I mean, and that makes me so
mhm.
sad. It really does because I don't want
Well, at
us.
some point in time, you have to replenish your brood stock
But
I
I
again.
know,
think, like I said, yeah, I think she's going to come back with them. I think she's taking a temporary break.
but
Is just what I can imagine because when you have
but
other stuff going on and like Ray said, you need to kind of replenish.
no,
I
no,
bet
no.
you
He
anything. She
right, but
probably needs to build new tanks, get things.
yes, but the point is, if the laws
Mhm.
stop us from commercial breeders replenishing,
Mhm.
then she won't be able to come back. Is my point,
Mhm.
right? So I wish that we had some upcoming. I hope we do have some upcoming breeders that
Mhm.
are going to take just a couple from the ocean, condition them. We can help
Mhm.
you figure out how to condition them. I mean, Dan taught Alyssa, so Dan can teach you guys,
Well, and
right?
I'll bet you anything, Alyssa still has the seahorses. She's just not selling them.
Right, but you missed the point that Ray made, right? You can
Mhm.
have the seahorses, but once they're too old, they're too old. You have to
Mhm.
replenish. We need
Mhm.
breeders who are able to legally and environmentally friendly take just a couple from the ocean and then do a
Mhm.
good job of breeding them so that we, the hobbyists, can keep captive bred. So
Mhm.
it is what it is, but I hope we have some upcoming breeders, is all I'm saying. That's it. I'm
Mhm.
done. I'm done
Yeah,
saying anything. I get it. And
yeah.
I get why she's
I
taking a break and doing the best for her business. That's smart business. I get it. Just
yeah, and
sucks.
like Bonnie said, personal too, because I know she's got stuff, going on in her life like we all do that takes importance. And like I said, I don't think it's not like she doesn't have the seahorses or whatever. She's not concentrating on those because she needs to concentrate on other things. But
Right.
I can guarantee she will have them again at some point.
Good. Good to hear. And I don't know anything about that. None of my business. So good to hear that she'll have them again. And Sawyer, good to hear that you are working towards a commercial basis because that's what we need. Dan was like
And that's
my
really exciting, something different, Kelly, too. Tiger tails, nobody has those.
I know, right? That's so exciting. So exciting. And I was just going to say, when I decided to start keeping seahorses, it was a different time. And Dan and Seahorse Source was there. And it was just ridiculous. I could literally, I became friends with him and I could get 5 different species in my
Yeah.
house in a day. And it was amazing. And I that all I'm trying to say is anybody who wants to be a commercial breeder, I want to put you in contact with Dan because
Mhm.
whatever he did was working, right? And I
Mhm.
don't know everything he did, but I really hope someone else springs up because we haven't had tiger tails. I mean, I haven't seen anyone with tiger tails besides Heather
Cheryl,
and
well,
Cheryl and
Cheryl,
Heather. Yeah.
yeah.
But we used to have Hippocampus fucus, right? Am I saying it right, Ray? Is it fucus? Fuscus?
What are you
Fuscus,
talking
the
about? Oh,
seahorse.
the small the small seahorse.
I'm gonna look it up
Fus-
now because I'm gonna
I think it's
Fuscus.
FUSCUS, I believe.
Hippocampus fuscus.
They're a smaller
Yeah.
seahorse.
So, oh, it didn't even look it up. But anyways, we used to be able to get them, right? And when I say get them, again, for anyone concerned about the environment, I am not talking about us getting them from the ocean. I'm talking about a commercial breeder taking a couple and then breeding them for the captive environment so that we can keep them in a captive sense and not take from the ocean. That's the whole point. Um, and I saw Holly had to go, but yeah, let's see. Um, but yeah, either way, Alyssa has made a great contribution to Seahorse Tanks. I mean, my goodness, most of us have had seahorses from Alyssa. I hope she goes back to it. But in the meantime, I still wish her success, right? I get it business wise. But I'm latching on to you, Sawyer, because I want you to be the next breeder. We need to get you some really successful with the tiger tails. Then you can expand and do different species because that's what I miss. Erectus are amazing. It's really sad if you can't even get erectus anymore around here. But and I still have erectus and I love them. But man, keeping the other species was like really, it was so unique. It was so special, to see how they were different and just to have that adventure. I don't know if that's the right word. Have that experience to be able to figure these seahorses out was just amazing. So I hope we find a way and that more seahorses are captively bred for the aquarium industry. Ray, anything to say about any of that?
Nope.
Okay.
Just a comment that I made there for Bonnie's was saying about uh, the pots. Well, abs, in my opinion, the easiest seahorse to keep far and away over any other species.
Yeah, but the abs require more setup prior, right? Like you have to make sure they have the cooler temps.
That's all you need. Keep them cool.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I just feel like
$50 air conditioner works.
I get it. I just feel like, and I'm not disagreeing. Dan would agree with you. He's always said that abdominalis are the easiest seahorses to keep, as long as you can keep the temperatures low. But I just feel like I've had too many experiences in my not career, my hobby, with not just seahorses, in reef tanks, in freshwater tanks, in saltwater tanks, in seahorse tanks, where when you're depending on something that's really crucial to the tank, like a chiller, that just scares me. And maybe it's because I'm a cheapo and I always buy cheap, right? So my shit ends up not working. Maybe that's it. But I just hate depending on something for something that is literally detriment, like the
Well,
line. If you
if
cross the
your
line, it's
climate's
done.
a challenge for them, it's harder because when the
Yeah,
chiller's not working with, then you got to rely on ice bottles and
right,
fans and what have you to keep them cool enough. If you live in a cooler climate or you keep your house like that all the time, it's probably a lot less of a challenge and not as big a worry, I would think.
right,
Even if something goes wrong, they're not going to die in a couple weeks.
right,
If
right.
Mhm.
you're supposed to keep them not above 68, but if they get up 72, 73, and that for a couple of weeks until you get things back under control again, then they can handle that.
Right. I'm not disagreeing
They
with you.
might not like the 80 something at my house.
Right,
No, they wouldn't.
right.
Well, I wouldn't like it either. That's why I have whole house air
There you
conditioning.
go. There you go.
Yeah, see, I don't have that. So there's yeah, big difference in my environment for seahorses.
Good night, Sawyer.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'll just say it
nice
live. I
seeing
did
them. I'm
respond to your
looking
message.
forward to seeing the
Yeah,
babies and
yeah.
hearing how he's doing with them. That's pretty awesome, I think.
I
I love
know. And we need Vince to get some more babies going. Come on, Vince. We need some
it.
more babies going. We need more people that are
Vince
passionate
like
about
maybe he's
it
retired.
and
Maybe Vince needs a break too.
we can't all, well, then I need
We'll
to start
send
with the
them
fry
all to
again.
you, Kelly.
Yep.
Everybody can just send the babies to Kelly. She'll raise them.
Send me the babies. I'll take all the babies, right? I want the babies. I probably would have to quit my job, but hey, it's okay. I want the babies. I miss the babies so much. And I just like doing it. We need someone, like, I'm not the right person, guys, because for me to breed, I'm like Holly. I'm
The
soft. I'm gonna, like, I can't do tough love. I'm gonna, baby
well,
them and make,
if mine ever have babies, I'll have you come over and raise them for
there we go. I'm willing. I'm out for rent, guys. I'm out for rent. Um,
me.
but Bonnie asked, she has frozen plankton. Can they eat that? Are we talking adult seahorses or fry, Bonnie? And I don't think any of them can. Frozen plankton?
I think plankton is too small even for fry.
Yeah.
I think
No,
plankton would be
plankton
the
should end
food of
up
the
as very
food.
hard.
Sorry, Ray?
Plankton comes in a lot of different
I
sizes.
know.
Depends on where you're harvesting it and what normally feeds on it. But if whales can eat it, I'm sure seahorses might be able to.
Yeah, but when you say
But would
plankton,
they?
but the
I
difference
always
is,
think
I
of
think we're
plankton
talking
as the
about,
food of their food. Yeah.
I think we're
Like
talking about stuff
really
like this. Let me make myself big here. I think we're
that
talking
you
about
feed
stuff like
reef,
this.
right?
Little
Like for your corals
cubes.
and things.
That's not very clear.
I think you'd only feed it to adults because I think it's too big for
And
fry.
I honestly don't think the adults would eat it. Bonnie, I guess it's time for you to test it out for us. See if they'll eat it. Make sure you clear it out if they don't. But yeah, I don't think they eat plankton in their
I
natural
don't
environment.
believe
I
so
think
either.
I think that they eat things that eat plankton, right?
Yes.
So they're
Plankton
going
is
to
the
eat,
food of the food is how I see it.
right. They're going to eat a mysid that happened to gnaw on some macro or whatever, or plankton, excuse me.
Mhm.
And therefore, you'd find if you did an autopsy or, stomach ingestion, I don't know, I'm not scientific, but you'd find that there was plankton in their system, but it's not because they're eating it. It's because what they ate it, if that makes sense. But try it out. I, I'm to the point now where I can't even finish the website, guys, because I'm just like, so many new cool things are happening and people are doing things well in so many areas with seahorses that it's really hard to put an article up about what you should do because you can do it so many different ways. And I think
Mhm.
it's good. There are, a basic set of rules. Don't go over so many gallons, per seahorse. Maybe don't do this, maybe don't do that, maybe have a skimmer, whatever. But I think it's great that people are experimenting as long as they're not putting seahorses in danger, right? You don't want
Mhm.
to do something stupid crazy,
When
but
if you
trying to
keep the
feed them a food
basic
is great.
rules in
Yeah,
mind, like we always talk about, they're sensitive to high organics in their water. Prevent that however you can. Make
right.
sure they have enough food, like Ray says, smaller amounts several times a day is always
Yeah,
better for them. And, just the basic things, however you accomplish that doesn't matter as
right.
long as you accomplish that. So there's all different kinds of ways to achieve that. And as we move forward and get better and better equipment and better foods and choices that we have in how we do things, it'll just keep improving, I think.
Absolutely. Totally agree. So, guys, I do want to say really quickly what happened to my tank because I need help. Dang it. My all in one tank, I came home today and it was cloudy, like for no reason, like out of the blue,
Hmm.
nothing. And all I do remember from the past, right, is that if
Like
you have a cloudy
bloom,
tank, it's probably like a bacterial bloom or something.
algae bloom. Hmm.
Tested the water, everything's fine
Hmm.
as far as testing goes.
You
And
could
I do
see, yeah.
remember, like, what I was going to do is a huge water change. Ray, did you hear any of that?
Sorry,
No, you're all right. I just,
That-
I had to get something from my one of my
no
dogs.
problem. I just want you included in this question because I know you know these things. So I came home today, and what actually I forgot to mention something. One thing that I noticed is that there's something wrong with the timer on my light. So the light's coming on and staying on during periods when I don't want it on. So I've got to fix that. But just
the
so
time
you know,
change screwed me up.
maybe, right. So basically the light's coming on when I don't want it to, but that's not the problem. The problem is I came home and my all-in-one tank is cloudy. All of a sudden, out of the blue. Like nothing happened. I didn't change anything. I didn't do anything. I know that that typically means that there's a bacterial or an algal
Yeah.
bloom,
Mhm.
right? So I test,
Is it a white
yes.
cloudiness? Okay, it's probably not algal. It's probably a
Bacterial,
bacterial.
right? I know. So I
Yeah,
tested, ammonia.
ultraviolet will fix
What?
that up. Ultraviolet will fix that up.
Ultraviolet? What do you mean?
A UV
UV.
light?
Okay.
Yeah,
So wait, are you saying? What do you mean?
hook up a UV. Don't you have a UV?
Like handy? No.
A UV light. A UV light, ultraviolet light.
I mean, does everybody have those handy? I don't think I do. I don't know.
Well, I thought you were using one though you mentioned before for a
It
tank.
Well, the light over the tank has a UV level, so you're saying turn that up?
No, no, no. Didn't you tell me I
Okay.
want to say you used to use a UV light tube for treating your water? Did you ever do
Oh,
that?
yeah. No, that was my next question. That
Yes,
tank
that's what
does
he's talking
have.
about.
So wait. So Ray, what you're saying is I need to replace the bulb in the UV in the sterilizer. Okay.
Yes,
Easy enough.
that's something you need to do frequently
I
anyway.
know.
People figure just because it's not burned out that it's
Right.
working, but they only got limited hours. I think I'm trying to think now. Probably I probably wouldn't go 200 hours without replacing
Right.
them.
And I haven't, and I'm not good at tracking that. So, you guys, if you want to be a really good seahorse keeper, have a notebook or an app or something where you're tracking, hey, I need to change my, sponge. I need to change my sock. I need to change my UV. I'm not very good at that. I figured that's what they were going to tell me, but I wanted to do it live because I wanted to show everybody makes mistakes, right? You can be more cautious. You can keep track of things better than I'm doing. But now my tank's cloudy and I'm bummed and I'm going to replace the UV. And in this case, Ray,
The thing you need to be concerned about is what did you do different that caused the bacterial
I
bloom?
didn't do anything different. I did misplace some rocks like a month ago. So there's less
There
rock
you
in the
go.
tank. But I really think it's the UV light. And I think, Ray, too, that I need to. When you have a bacterial bloom, though, here's my real question, because I was going to like do this massive water change just because it bothered me. To be clear, the seahorses are fine. They're swimming around like, what? Everything's cool. What? So, but to do a massive water change when you have a bacterial bloom is a bad thing, right? Because that just feeds the bloom, doesn't it?
Well, it's not a case of feeding the bloom so much as the fact that uh, you're not changing 100% and you're going to have some left there. And if conditions are still the same as what created it in the first place, then it's just going to keep coming
Okay.
back.
So what I need to do, and I'm gonna show pictures of this, guys, of the cloudy tank and what I do and how I fix it. But so what you guys are suggesting is replace the bulb in the UV, which I need to do, and just leave it alone, do my regular water change and let it go.
Yeah, it probably should be all you
Okay.
need. Most times, bacterial bloom will go away within 2 days.
Yep.
Uh, but I usually mention to people it's best to keep it on a week or two just
Sure.
to cover all bases because in order for the UV to work, it has to go through the UV. Now, if you got most of it going through and still uh, a few particles still not getting through, then you stop using the UV. And again, if you haven't changed anything and the cause of it, the original situation is still there, then that little bit that's left is going to bring her back again.
Right. And Ray's making a good point too. The reason that I made clear that I hadn't changed anything besides losing a couple of rocks a month ago is because if someone is doing a new tank and they keep adding things and then they have a bacterial bloom, that's different. In my case, aside from missing a few rocks, it doesn't make sense. So it's probably I didn't do a big enough water change. Maybe I didn't clean up enough food. Whatever it is, it's not due to me adding something new, because adding something new can always cause a problem. And Bonnie said the reason you don't like all in one tanks is the gunk gets stuck in the chambers. Since you can't lift out the chambers, that gunk gets out and makes it cloudy. So that's another thing. I'm going to take pictures, post them for you guys.
Reminds
Then
me
I'm
of
going
my
to try
overflow
just replacing the
boxes.
bulbs. Then I'm going to try like a deep clean where maybe the seahorses even go into a bucket so I can clean down in them chambers, because you're making a good point. My whole goal in the all-in-one was just prove you could do it, but you do have to take care of it. Apparently I'm not doing a very good job. So we'll figure it out and
So
fix it and help you though.
while we're on the subject of UV light, I
Okay.
don't use it, so I really don't know much about it at all.
Okay.
So could you put is there like I use shop lights above my tank here in the tiki room. I have one that's a normal shop light like you would use in your garage or wherever. It's just a normal fluorescent light. And I have another one that is on at night and it's a black light like you would use to light up posters or whatever. It's called a black light. Can you get UV tubes for those shop light fixtures? And do you think that's beneficial at all or not really? What?
Not,
No.
it's you can't get ones for your tube. Uh, that's the wavelength that you actually
Mm-hmm.
need. It is, I believe, the black light, a true black light is ultraviolet,
Mhm,
but ultraviolet's got a range of wavelength,
mhm.
and there's only a certain segment of it that's really going to work strong,
Right.
strong enough to do what you want it for. Now, most seahorse tanks, like I would never use it unless there was a bacterial bloom,
Mhm.
uh, mainly because most of the bacteria, or almost exclusively the bacteria that causes all the problems in a seahorse tank,
Mhm.
it's benthic, which means it stays on
Right.
surfaces. The uh, the pelagic bacteria don't give us
No,
problems.
I
Mm.
agree.
It's just like the top.
For anybody,
So
wait.
it
For anybody who doesn't know,
has to go through the UV to be killed off, and benthic don't go through the
right.
UV.
So
Gotcha.
anybody who doesn't know, benthic means it doesn't go through the water. It stays on glass.
It's perfect.
Pelagic means like when we talk about the fry,
Mhm.
erectus or benthic, they will hitch right away as soon as they're born. Red or pelagic, they swim around. They won't hitch. They so same with bacteria. Anyways, I agree with you, Ray, totally. I just think that because I've been using the UV sterilizer for the whole time, whatever's going on is probably, like you said, I need to replace the filter, or I mean, the light. Um,
Mhm.
and with Holly, I agree with what Ray said. You can't get one to like go over the tank
So,
because
like,
one
you
of the
don't
things,
it's not beneficial at all.
no, because one of the things that I did research when I was researching sterilizers is the flow rate. Like Ray was saying, really matters. Like if the
So
flow
you need
rate
it
through
close to the
past the light,
water and adjusting the water flow
yeah,
through
you have
wherever it's
to
at.
really get it compact and down to the perfect level because if the flow rate goes too fast, the UV doesn't work. If it
I
goes too slow,
remember Dan saying he didn't think they were beneficial for seahorse
I
tanks because most people don't control the flow, don't dial it in properly.
right.
And if it's
I would
not dialed
agree
in
with that.
properly, it's not beneficial.
I would agree with that. And again, the only reason I have one on this particular tank is because it's an all in one. And I was
Mhm,
throwing
yeah,
everything I could at the tank to make it
mhm,
work. Right. And as
mhm,
Bonnie just pointed out, I
gotcha.
probably need to clean deep down more often. So we'll work on that. I'm just trying to show people how they can do it, like in
Mhm,
an apartment or somewhere that you can't have
yeah,
a 300-gallon tank. But maybe maybe the UV sterilizer isn't something that you would want to put on that because then you have to replace it, right? If I had not had a UV sterilizer, maybe I would have had to have done bigger water changes and it would
mhm.
still be fine. I really don't know why I have a bacterial bloom, um, but I'm going to post pictures
I
and keep
think
going.
Dan recommended the UVs for fry tanks because it it does control bacteria buildup in fry tanks.
Yes,
Uh,
Mhm.
in a fry tank, for some reason, and I don't know the answer to it, but for some reason, the fry tanks end up with a pelagic
yep,
bacteria.
Mhm.
right. No, you're
Uh,
Interesting.
right.
I didn't have problems myself that way, but like 20 years ago on the org, there were people then that were having bacterial problems with their
Uh-huh.
fry, and and I'm not sure the whole story behind it now. That's beyond my memory capabilities
Right.
now. But the gist was that the bacteria in the fry tanks was pelagic,
Right.
so
Mhm.
the UV would work
That
on
did
them.
help.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I mean, either way, guys, us average hobbyists, we can't test for is this bacteria pelagic or benthic or whatnot. But like what I did is say, hey, I'm going to put this on here just in case, right? It just depends
Mhm.
on what you can do, what you can afford, what your risk tolerance level is. And it may have been a detrimental thing to me, like I said, because now I'm having to replace it, right? So whatever. It's what you want to do. Um, but I would say
Look at the
it,
instructions for that UV because it'll tell you how many hours that particular bulb will
yeah.
last. Not all bulbs last the same length of time, but none of them
Well,
last
I,
very long.
I absolutely guarantee you that mine's overdue. I have no doubt whatsoever. This tank's been going how long, right? So I need to
2
replace that.
years?
And I
3?
did
Not 3, 2, right?
to what?
Years. I'm just trying
I
it
think
well,
it's two or three.
it's been years. I'm like, "Well, I know those seahorses because I sent you the one,
Aphrodite, right?
and she's over 3 years old now. She's on her way to 4, I think,
So
coming up
it's
in
3 years.
October."
3 years. I believe it. I believe it. But I would just say it's good for me to show you guys that everybody has problems, right?
Mhm.
Everybody does. It could be because I told you guys a few weeks ago, hey, I misplaced these two big rocks, but I've got K1 backing me up. But still, the level of the tank that was being controlled by the rock
Yeah,
and the
the rocks,
K1,
all of it together.
that may
Yeah.
be what's going on is just that now there's a bloom because there's so much that's not being taken up because the rocks aren't taking up that bacteria, right? So it's
Mhm.
just nobody ever knows the true answer. I'm just trying to share to try to help you guys in the future and help you know, hey, if you walk up to a cloudy tank, don't freak out. It's not the end of the
Ray.
world, right? Test, make sure you have prime on hand, but test for ammonia, nitrite, nitrate. If those are okay, we still got time to fix it. It's not the end of the world.
I
Um,
need Ray to come visit. I wish
Ray,
Ray
just,
could come
Ray just,
visit. When
Ray
you
just
come this
commented
summer.
he hasn't had a problem for a month. You haven't had seahorses for months. Shush it.
I haven't had any problems, have I?
You would
But
come
yeah,
solve my problems.
right. But yeah, I mean, I'm just showing we all have problems, guys. Nobody's perfect. And we appreciate that you guys come. And yes, we'll share what's worked for us so that you can be successful, but also share what works for you because, we're here to learn too. We all,
I'm curious,
don't
where's
tell me not to
Jen
freak out. I'll do what
Ginger
I
on
like.
her house stuff? Is your husband almost done with the house? So you can have seahorses.
Oh yeah, Zen Ginger, when we come in here, we need to get these seahorses going for sure.
Yeah.
But I know seriously, like dealing with plumbing and stuff, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. Um,
Oh,
Manwar
so many
said,
tips for Manoir.
I have not been
Yeah.
able to save a single seahorse from the fry. I tried live food Artemia, but no success. Can you guys give me some tips, please? So my first question is, what do you mean? Were they not eating the Artemia? Or were they eating it and not doing well? Because then I would go to enrichment. Um, because Artemia won't work long term. How long were you able to keep the fry? Like, meaning, did not eating from birth
From the
or,
beginning? Well,
yeah.
was he feeding baby brine shrimp or bigger Artemia? Um, where were they also? Like, yeah, what how was he keeping? I mean, there's so much to it. You kind of have to know more to know where to start.
Well, start asking questions, Holly. We can't go much longer, but we can ask
So
a few
I
questions.
say,
Try to help.
okay, from the beginning, you're separating them from the adults, right? And putting them in their own tank or container. And what are you using for them? What's their house like? What are you trying to feed them? Do you enrich the brine shrimp? Is it baby brine shrimp, fresh hatched? Or okay, they're in a separate tank.
Good.
Okay, so we've got that. So next, the food you're feeding them, is it freshly hatched baby brine shrimp? Are you enriching the brine shrimp? Are you cleansing them with peroxide before
And what
feeding?
species are we even talking about? Are
And
you keeping
there's just so
erectus?
much. Yeah.
Well, no, I think you're doing an amazing job of asking questions to try to
But
help, Holly.
just from the start, I mean, just thinking back, because it's been a while since I raised fry. But yeah, the first thing is they go in their own tank of fresh, clean salt water, and they need to be fed pretty much right away.
And all the
And
time. Right.
and
So,
I mean, I used, well, freshly hatched baby brine shrimp will work, but the game changer for me was what I learned from Ray and Dan was that if you clean them with peroxide with a peroxide solution soak and enrich them before feeding them to the baby seahorses, your survival rates really increase.
okay.
That
So,
that really changed things for me.
right, real quick, Ray saying they don't have to be fed right away because they have the
Mhm.
little sack that carries them for a minute. Absolutely agree. But here's the thing. We
Not
talked about
long though,
your
a day or two, right? How long, Ray? I'm curious to know how long can they last?
Uh, Probably
2
2 days.
days. That's
but that's
about
not
Yeah,
good. It's not good. You
yeah.
want
no, you
them to
want
start eating.
No, I wouldn't do it deliberately, but
Right.
see, here in Canada, we used to ship seahorse fry around from hobbyist to hobbyist. If you like, I would get more seahorse fry than I can handle, and then there would be other people that wanted to try and raise them. So we'd put them in gallon jars,
Mhm.
top it up completely to the very top, put the cap on it, ship it, and so they'd be 2 days. And this is from you're taking them out newly hatched,
Mhm.
and they get them a couple of days later, and they're still okay.
That's I
Hmm.
remember Dan saying that. So it's about a 2 day, probably before they really, really need to eat now,
Yeah,
right? So that gives you kind of time to hatch the baby brine shrimp if, like I mentioned before, if your conditions are right, because they won't hatch if it's colder or not enough light. They
So
like to be
my
like over
question
80 degrees.
is are you telling us that you've separated the fry into a separate tank? You have tried hatching your own brine shrimp, baby brine shrimp from eggs, and you're feeding and they won't eat? Is that what you're saying? Because I think that's what he's saying. Like not eating from
Well, it
birth.
it sounds like it. Are the parents really young? Are the baby seahorses not very developed? Because sometimes with very young males giving birth, the fry are not even fully developed yet. Like what happened to Shyla.
Yeah, so what would really help is a picture. I know you
Mhm.
can't post on YouTube, but if we have a Seahorse Whisperer Facebook group, If you post it in there, um, then we could see and share and talk about it. He said, yes, hardly 4 or so, 8, but perish in a week. So, okay,
Need
my
to know
questions,
more about the fry being born, like how many are being born at a time and
yes,
what do they look like, kind of, because they might not be viable fry even.
that's what I was going to ask is how many was in your batch? Because if the seahorse only gave birth to 4 fry, um, that's, yeah,
Good
that's
luck.
probably not gonna,
Yeah.
right. That's probably not gonna work. I'm gonna try to put this in here.
And what kind of seahorses are these? Erectus
What's,
or
oh,
150 plus? So there's a lot.
per fry though. Hang on. Whoops. All right. So come join us in this group. We can help you a lot better because we love that you're asking questions here. Oh, thank you,
Yes.
Zen Ginger. You just did it for me.
Oh, a
Um,
Mustang from Ocean Rider. That's
Rita,
an
okay.
Erectus seahorse.
You got to have something smaller than the brine.
what, Ray?
The Mustang is a Rita, isn't it?
I don't
Mustangs
think
are
so.
Erectus from
Yeah.
Ocean Rider. That's their
Oh,
Erectus.
Hang on. Let me look it
I
up.
thought that was Rita.
Mhm.
Ocean Rider.
That's what they call their Erectus males. They call them Mustangs because they like to brand their seahorses.
Yeah.
I can remember back when they forbade you to raise
They still
any
do.
fry from their.
They still do.
They
Yes, they
do.
still do. When I
They
bought
can't.
from Ocean Rider, I had to
They
click
had a
something that said I would
disclaimer.
not breed them. Yep. And I understand. I get it. But
But we need them
yeah,
in the hobby and in the world.
right. And we need
So
people to be able to
are
breed on
you
them so that
trying to
we're not paying
feed
$500 for a seahorse. It's
all
ridiculous.
right, so the brine shrimp, here's a specific question. Are the brine shrimp that you were trying to feed to them, are they freshly hatched? Like you just hatched them, they're newborn baby brine shrimp.
He said tried brine eggs too.
But they won't eat eggs. So you have to use the hatched baby brine shrimp. I mean, we have to be kind of specific, I think.
Oh
See
no,
what
I think
I'm
you're
saying?
right because he said couriered through vendors overnight like baby brine shrimp. Tried brine eggs too. So did you hatch the
Not
brine shrimp? That's a
freshly
good,
hatched. Okay.
yeah.
So there's one thing. I think when the seahorses are first born, they need freshly hatched brine shrimp. Within what's the hatching time period? Ray probably is an expert, like where they can eat them.
You know what Dan always said? Dan always said don't count on that because the brine shrimp hatch at different rates. So
They do, but
That's right.
always within 24 to 2 days, right? Not a week. Like how long
no,
is the
not
time
no, not
period?
with 2 days. No, I
Right?
don't.
So
I
how
don't agree with that.
long is freshly hatched?
Well, the other thing too is if you're using freshly hatched ones, their exoskeleton is a lot harder
To
to
digest,
digest.
right?
Mhm.
So if you wait until the second instar stage, which under average conditions, 24 hours. Um,
They're
I'm trying to
easier
think here.
for the seahorses to eat because they're
Yeah,
softer.
which is
But
partly
you
how
then
the
hang on,
enrichment.
time
24
out, guys,
hours, they're not
time
bigger.
out. But then you have to enrich them. Once they have lost that nutritious egg sac, the artemia is what I'm talking about. Once
Mhm.
they've lost their
Yeah.
eggshell that's hard and makes it hard for the seahorse fry to eat it, then you have to enrich it because otherwise it's not good enough, right?
But there are people that manage it without
I
enrichment,
Yes,
so
know, I
that's
know.
true. That's true.
better. But the thing is, right now, he's having problems and he may have some fry that need it on the smallest size. So after 24 hours after hatching, the exoskeleton will already be gone. They'll be into instar 2 stage. And while you haven't enriched them, they still have the
Yeah.
protein
Right.
content there.
At
They're
least get
still
them
good.
eating.
That
Right.
doesn't
Right.
go. And if you let them go another 24 hours till you get them enriched, then they'll start getting a little bit bigger. So in this case here, I would start trying them after that 24 hours after the first hatching, just to see if that makes a
So
difference on
just to
them.
clarify, what you're saying is hatch Artemia, right? Baby
Mm-hmm.
brine shrimp.
Yeah,
Let them go 24 hours, or let them hatch
Yeah.
yeah.
for 24 hours.
I
24 hours
personally
after the
separated.
hatch, right?
I separated them once they're hatched out. I actually would separate them many times because as soon as they start hatching and there's a certain quantity there, then I separate those out. And then I, as they getting more hatched, I separate those out too because over an 18, it might take an 18-hour period
Mhm.
for the earliest to the last ones
Right.
to go through that
Mhm.
hatching process.
Mhm.
So if you're really wanting to get something as fast as possible, then you do a separation as soon as you see a certain number of them starting to come out. You don't have to wait for them all to hatch. So then you can take them out and put them in separate container, clean water, and so
Mhm.
on, and get them going so that you'll know that those early ones, 24 hours away, they'll be in the instar 2 stage. And
But they
you
need,
do,
And
Ray, they
buy
need,
yourself
wait,
some
hang on.
copepods like we talked about earlier. Get copepods if you can in the
Absolutely.
meanwhile for them to eat while you're fixing your brine shrimp hatcheries and
Absolutely.
getting them
But
going.
Ray, so what you're saying is they need 24 hours from the time that you collect them to the time that you feed them for them to reach NSTAR 2.
yeah, on an average, like some of them are
Okay.
Yeah.
gonna, it's just like some are going to go through that stage faster than others.
Mhm.
But you don't want to put them in uh, at that age when you got fry that young. You don't want to put in uh, instar 1 that are going to go to instar 2 because they'll do that molt, and then you're going to have those molts sitting
Shells,
there
right.
in the, and then if the fry start getting on those, there's nothing for them.
Right.
Mhm.
No nutrition at all.
So basically what
Mhm.
he's saying is hatch the brine shrimp and then keep them for a day and then feed them
Yeah.
without
And
even
for
worrying about
emergency,
enrichment.
and this is what I ran into in my first hatches. That's why I lost my first batch. I wasn't ready. I didn't have brine shrimp in the cycle going. And copepods saved me in that situation. Like we talked to, or we talked about, the copepods earlier. I would say, like, if you're getting your first batches of fry and you're getting used to the process of doing the brine shrimp and everything, those copepods, I think, can save you the first couple days. It's
Mm-hmm.
something that I think you can use to, okay, I don't have brine shrimp ready yet. They're not in the right stage, but I got some copepods, and I was able to get some from my local fish store. Just so there's a resource in the beginning to get you through.
I,
Yeah, if
I
you're
don't I don't disagree with you at all. I'm just one of those really careful people where I don't trust the fish store. So I mean it could be my
well,
area,
but
right?
like Chad's stuff is at the local fish store. Reef Nutrition is in
Yeah,
the local fish store.
sure.
That's where I got mine. And
Okay.
and it's good stuff. So Reef
Yeah,
Nutrition, and you can order
absolutely.
it online too.
Sorry,
And
Holly. Just for
and
the
the
record,
seahorses
guys.
will have more batches. If they're going, they'll keep going. So keep
So
trying.
right, right. So, just for the record, the reason I was saying that is because my local fish store sells like adult Artemia, like already hatched, swimming around, and
Mhm.
I just have had problems every time I've used it. So,
No, I was
and
talking
that
about
being said,
copepods from Reef Nutrition is what I was saying, is the
if you
copepods
that's
are
what I'm trying to
are
clarify and agree with you, Holly, is that if you're buying a bottled or, already
mhm,
contained thing from Reef Nutrition, you should have no worries. Like, I trust Reef Nutrition
mhm.
completely. And what are you saying, Ray? Okay.
Yeah, you
Um,
can keep their home really super clean. That's another point.
sure.
Good point.
So he wants to know. I don't feel like we
I
fully answered the
separate them
question,
as
but
they die, Manoir. Seriously,
uh
was how I did it.
so that's a touchy question, but I would say that Dan would say, like, I'm with Holly.
They
I didn't
cull,
separate
yes,
anything.
breeders cull them, but I didn't.
Breeder,
When they're dead, they're gone.
okay. So again, I'm with Holly. I loved every single fry, and I'm naming them like a little mommy. And so I'm trying to like take care of all of them. And I wouldn't, you know, their cull is not a word in my vocabulary. However, if you are a trying to become a commercial breeder, you have to be smart and realize the cost of food, the cost of, water changes, the cost of everything. You have to make sure that the strongest survive so that they can become captive bred seahorses for aquariums. So there isn't a method, but I know Dan would absolutely call any seahorse that didn't look
If you're a
good.
beginner like me, they cull themselves.
Yeah.
The biggest
Honestly, you have
thing, though,
200 of them born that you're trying to keep alive, un unless the chances are, honestly, unless you've done your research, planned, and they have an appropriate home ready, an appropriate food ready, you're gonna have big losses, I think, unless you're prepared. So you learn the process, you learn how to learn
Well, no,
everything.
but
In the
here's the thing.
meanwhile,
Here,
don't
wait,
feel
wait,
bad, you're
time
gonna
out,
lose
time out,
some,
time
and
out,
they're
time out,
culling themselves,
time
and you
out.
learn as that process is happening. You
Everything you're
know what I'm
saying,
saying?
yes, I do. And I agree with you for a hobbyist breeder. But if there's someone like Sawyer out there that is trying to go to the commercial level, then you set up tubs. Then you set
Yeah,
up a
mhm,
designed area
yeah,
to keep fry. I'm hoping that that's what you want help with, Sawyer. We'll talk on the side. But that's what we need is someone to go to that commercial level where they're willing to do it as a profession or whatever.
mhm,
And then, no, then it's a different topic where you're calling in order to make sure that the strongest survive. In Holly and I's case, we're on a hobbyist
mhm.
level. We have a home that we're raising fry in, right? So that's a different
And
thing.
Ray brought up a great point just now too, and that's kind of along the lines of what I'm saying too. The size of the container you have, like where are you raising them, how much room do you have? There's a lot that plays into it, but
I
as a
just don't want
beginner
you guys to keep
raising
acting. Wait,
fry,
I don't want you guys to keep acting like it can't be done because it
no,
can.
but I'm saying don't feel bad that you're losing them, because you're going to lose them along the
Sure.
way. They'll pull themselves, so don't worry in the beginning about separating who's who if it's your first time starting out.
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
not saying
Gotcha.
you're
I'm with you.
what I'm saying is because they will cull themselves. The strongest will survive.
Sure.
Do
Sure.
your best you can for all of them. And yeah, like Ray says, what's the size of your container? Everything has to be kept really clean and sterile. There's so much into it, and you learn as you go, and they're
Sure.
gonna keep having more fry. So if
What
you're
Holly made
losing
a
them
great
along
point.
the way, don't feel bad because you're going to.
Holly made a great point earlier that if it's the first batch from them, I wouldn't even. That sounds terrible, but I wouldn't even try with the first batch if they're
Well,
young
sometimes they don't make it.
seahorses,
If they're young, it
because
takes time. Mhm.
because as they continue to figure it out themselves, they start making stronger fry, right? And the next batch will have more and they'll be healthier. I'm really surprised that they
Well,
won't
look
eat
at
it all.
Shyla's. Shyla's, remember, hers are 3 years old. Hers
Hmm.
have been producing fry for a couple years, and she didn't have viable fry
And now
until
she
recently.
does. Yeah.
And it was a matter of they were not ready. They were
Ready.
too
Right.
young or whatever the circumstances were. She learned in the meantime, as she went along, how to, make the right conditions for them
Yep.
and prepared for the
Absolutely.
fry when they come. So a lot plays in.
Absolutely. I just worry about this case because he's saying they won't eat it all. I've never had fry that wouldn't eat, period.
Well,
So,
yeah, mine, like I said, my first batch, the first time I ever had fry born, I didn't have food for them. Yeah,
but he did.
I felt so bad. But looking back on it, those fry were tiny. They weren't even viable fry. So even if they did have food, I still don't think they would have survived.
I get it.
Because knowing what I know now from seeing fry, they were so string like mount. They had no shape. They were like a string and tiny, like picnic ant size, and not any development whatsoever. But I didn't
Okay.
know when
So
I
so hang
started
on.
out.
I'm going to cut you off because I get what you're saying, but what we care about is his situation, right?
Hmm.
So, Manowar, first of all, go join the Seahorse Whisperer group, because then we can talk to you more after we end tonight, because we're kind of getting to the point where we're over time. But we need to ask you questions, like, in order to help you, we need to know how big's
Hmm.
the fry tank, can we see a picture, what equipment are you using, how are you keeping it, when are your water changes, that kind of stuff. And then we can absolutely help you. As far as summarize what you need to do for the next fry, I would say we need to know what you're doing now, right? So, and I that sounded mean. What I mean is, like, if there was a problem with this case, they probably were just the pair's first fry. But if you show us pictures of how you're keeping the fry, how you're hatching your artemia, we will help you every step of the way. We're absolutely in there to help you. Um, I put a link, Ray. It's right here. Um, Zen Ginger posted it right above me.
Hmm.
So if you can go join that Facebook group, then we can go, instead of waiting for you to answer, asking you to come in here, we can go back and forth. You can say, here's the tank. And I can say, okay, so what size is it? And you can answer, and it's just easier to go back and forth. We love live questions like this because it gets us talking,
Hmm.
but I don't feel like we answered your questions to the
Yeah.
point that you needed them answered. So I would say go join the group so we can further the discussion, right? Because it just does depend on so many things, as Holly said. Um,
Hmm.
and to summarize what you need to do next, again, like, shit. And now my work's calling. So I really am going to have to cut it
But
off in a minute.
that's okay.
But
I
Go
can
ahead.
fill in for you if you need to take the
Go
call.
ahead.
I was
Go ahead.
just going to say one one thing. You need to have food ready for them pretty much when they're born or shortly after, like we were talking about, with Ray. They only have a couple days period where they need to eat. So I would get in the habit, if you know your seahorses are breeding, start your brine shrimp hatchery setup now and plan for hatching and enriching the brine shrimp before you feed the baby seahorses. I was able to raise a few. I didn't raise large amounts of seahorses, but I used 10-gallon tanks to raise my babies in. And so I would just set up a 10-gallon tank when they were born. I was pretty quick about it. Keep, an extra 10-gallon tank on hand. I used a sponge filter in mine, and I used a mesh for them to hitch onto when they were first born. It was Gutter Guard, actually, from Home Depot, was something that they were able to hold on to when they were babies. And need to keep it like really clean, like siphon it out. I want to say a couple times a day, and they need water changed pretty often. I want to say I was changing water out like maybe a half of that 10-gallon tank a day or more, maybe a full 10-gallon tank a day. Like Ray's saying, wipe down all the surfaces when you clean their tank. They're prone to bacterial infections. So you want to keep the tank water that the fry are in at, I would say, right around 68 to 70 if you can, like high 60s, definitely below 74, 72. I liked to keep mine in the high 60s just to help prevent bacterial infections. Um, Learn how to enrich the brine shrimp that you're feeding to them and also clean them with peroxide. We can give you details to that. I don't have the formula here, but one problem I ran into with fry that Ray helped me with is your brine shrimp. If you start cleaning them with peroxide, it'll help with the survival rates of your fry because you're getting rid of that bacteria that causes the infections that they're prone to.
And
So
that
that's
bacteria
pretty much
happens
it.
in the hatchery, right? So, right.
Yeah, it's
Good
it's
point.
everywhere. It's everywhere from what I figured out. So your best bet, what really was a game changer in my survival rates, was sterilization of all their equipment. Every time you use a hatchery, throw it in the bleach bucket afterwards. Rotate equipment so that you're keeping everything sterile. uh, Sterilize the brine shrimp using the peroxide, which we just haven't given the details, but there's a peroxide soak you give them before you feed them to the fry, and enrich them with, enriching powders before you feed the fry, and that improves your survival rates.
Well, see, and that right there is why I need to finish the
It
website,
helped.
because even
There's
though I
so
can't
much
tell
to
you
it,
step by step, I can give you the
right?
peroxide details, right? That's
Right.
that's why I need to finish the website. But go into the group. We are going to have to end this for tonight. I have to go up to work, guys. I'm sorry. And Ray had to go to take care of dogs. But join the Facebook group. We're all there. We're all going to help you even further. We want you to come back to Wine Wednesday, and we can even show you how you can jump into Wine Wednesday, like on video, and ask questions live. that would be a little bit better, because when you ask questions from the comment section, we love it, but sometimes we have to ask further questions to help you, right? So go join the group, and I really appreciate you coming. Tell all your friends, of course, we want more people, and we will pick this up again next week. Hopefully, we'll have more to report after talking to you in the group. And I think that's it for tonight, Holly. Am I missing anything? Sorry. I know I'm
No,
rushing
I
it.
mean,
I'm
I'd like
sorry.
to help him more, but I mean, really, there's just so many details and things
So
to
many
it. On the top
pieces.
of my head, I can't. But yeah, there's a lot of tips and tricks for raising the seahorse fry.
And we've
It's
got
not
them.
easy, so don't feel like you're alone.
No, you're not alone. And if it's the first batch, like she was saying earlier, I missed some of this because
Takes
I
them
had to
a
take a
while
call.
sometimes.
It's because of the parents, right?
Yeah,
They don't know what they're doing yet. They give you
ready.
fry, but they're not eating, or they're not
They're not
viable.
fully developed
Yeah.
sometimes.
So if that's the case, don't feel bad, for sure.
Mhm.
They will give you more. They
I
don't
know they're
stop once
trying,
they
there's
start.
gonna be more, they don't
Yes.
stop, so don't, you have time to learn and prepare.
Yes,
Was
and
my
Shyla's proving that. She's keeping her
Yes.
first batch, well, not her first batch, but her first healthy batch really
Her first
well,
healthy,
and she's
yeah, it
already
took
got
her a while,
more.
she went through several batches
Yes.
before this successful one, and now she said in her, she can tell the difference in the
Yep.
quality of the fry before the fry she was seeing before. So,
Well, and again, anyone that does want to go to a commercial level, like, we'll help you on a hobbyist level, but anyone that wants to go to a commercial level, get with me on the side. I'll put you in touch with Dan, because really it does have to do with um, bringing in new brood stock, right?
mhm,
So, different conversation for a different day. But I think you did a good job, Holly. Thanks for covering for me. I appreciate you.
trying.
No, you did a great job. But for tonight, guys, we are going to say happy on Wednesday. Get your glass ready, and we
Mine's
will be back
empty.
next week. And we're in the group all the time, so go to the group and talk to us. But for tonight, happy Wine Wednesday. Let's go, Holly. Cheers.